Hi, I'm Kate Geck from Interior Design in the School of Architecture at RMIT University. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge the people of the Boonwurrung and Woiwurrung language groups, on whose unceded lands here in Naarm I am presenting. I'd like to thank and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded over these lands, waters and skies. And as I share my paper today, I'd like to also recognise that the tradition of archiving knowledge through the sharing of spoken stories has been happening on these lands for tens of thousands of years. Today I'll talk through some key ideas I've been entertaining in my paper, Polyphonic Materiality in Extended Reality, and I'd like to preface this by saying that it's an idea in progress and one that I see requires ongoing investigation. Much HCI research on materiality investigates the ways in which computational qualities become embedded within physical materials, often under the banner of the material turn. With the development of extended reality and the emerging metaverse, I'm wondering how might we understand and articulate the qualities and agencies of digital materials as they overlay, embed, and replace the physical world. Our ongoing tangible experience with the physical world platforms a pretty well-developed appreciation of the forces, effects, and properties of physical things. The sensorial qualities of physical things mingle with practical, cultural, and aesthetic considerations, and we can attune to their supply chains to understand how sustainable and ethical these things are. Yet digital things appear to us as mediated representations. Coupled with metaphors that tend towards the immaterial, it becomes difficult to position their affective capacities and qualities. So how might we begin to describe and discuss digital materiality in HCI design? Speculative films can do well to critically illustrate the atmospheric, lived experience of digital materials in XR, such as Keiichi Matsuda's 2016 film Hyperreality. Science and technology studies provide precedents for materializing the intangible relations of people, actions, and systems through things like practice theory and actor network theory. Michael Wieberg proposes interaction itself as a material, one which transcends categories of the digital and physical completely. However, in these propositions, any materiality of the digital is folded into a human-computer assemblage. The digital seems to be described only as part of a relation. This aspect of relationality is a critical concept, but one which does not specifically address what digital materiality itself might be within that relation. So we have language to describe the social, the physical, even the atmospheric. Yet with the increasing incidence of mixed reality and immersive virtual environments, it seems timely to wonder specifically about the affective capacities and qualities of digital materials. Extended realities intersect the digital and the physical in different ways. In this paper, digital materials are considered as the projected and presented media that manifest during an interaction with technology. A non-exhaustive list includes images, 3D objects, posts, videos, and interface elements, and these naturally are connected to the design patterns and code that manifest them. As XR technologies continue to develop into physical space, working from a material perspective might assist us to understand what atmospheres and effects may emerge when the digital entangles with the physical as mixed reality or immerses us within virtual worlds. Polyphony provides an interesting metaphor to assemble and appraise this materiality. A musical term, it speaks to both the collective and the individual. Multiple rhythms, melodies, or tones operate as independent voices that together produce a unity. Polyphony can suggest harmony, but it's different structurally and conceptually to a purely harmonic pattern. A homophonic harmony sees all of the voices in the collective operate in service of a single key melody, whereas polyphony lets multiple voices collect together as a single texture, maintaining their independence while still suggesting connection and interplay. You can listen to these voices separately or collectively, and importantly, you can keep moving between these listenings. Interaction designers spent much time in tune to what might be seen as a homophonic harmony, where the digital is forever in service to the real or physical world. Yet with such an entangled play of digital and physical materials in contemporary culture, it no longer makes sense to separate the two, or to place one above or in service to the other. material turn in interaction design has seen a greater attunement to the physical properties of interactive objects, as well as a greater understanding of the complex ecologies they exist in. Working from this position of materiality thus allows designers and artists to relationally position things, people, time, and space within an assemblage. Drawing the digital into this assemblage might further enable designers to understand the ecologies within which digital materials sit. We can think about the aesthetic and sustainable aspects of digital materials, such as the atmospheres that emerge and the resources involved in their manifestation. Yet still, the materiality of the digital is difficult to grasp. It can't be touched by human skin, and so a binary emerges. The physical world is real and here, while the digital is not real over there. We work within nebulous webs, nets, clouds, and ethers, while in everyday vernacular, the virtual itself describes the almost. These barely there metaphors shape network spaces in the periphery as shadows, making it hard to understand their material effects in the world. But, like shadows, network ethers are atmospheric. They obscure, cloak, and cast affect on the bodies that entangle with them. Acknowledging the digital as a material with qualities and capacities could help to better understand its atmospheric effects on humans and non-humans alike, particularly in light of mounting evidence on the psychosocial effects of interface culture. Dismantling the conflation between real physical and not real digital is necessary. Because the digital has no tangible matter, its ontological status is somewhat reduced. Deleuze's concepts of the virtual and the actual are useful here, where, despite their differences in tangibility, both are conceived of as real. The virtual is as real as the actual, existing as a suite of intensities that manifest within all materialities. This concept removes tangibility from the condition of realness, and importantly, it provides a way to consider the materiality of the algorithm. An algorithm may represent many virtualities, and through its meeting with users and data, it actualizes particular conditions, qualities, and events. This idea connects with Karen Barad's agental realism. Drawing on the slit experiment in quantum mechanics, where the appearance of matter changes depending on the way in which it is measured, agental realism posits that an apparatus produces cuts in reality as it interacts with particular materials. Algorithmic material futures thus emerge when the agency of the algorithm actualizes particular realities. In this way, Deleuze and Barad provide a conceptual underpinning to position digital materiality as an agental force that transcends tangibility. The nature of encounter with digital materials is fundamentally different to the ways we would encounter similar things in the physical world. This is coupled with the infinite nature of their emergence and their capacity for real-time modulation. Digital encounters can be stored, they can produce atmospheres that can be ongoingly modulated by information, and they can be highly relational, even targeted. The forces of emergence that produce digital materials are different to those that produce physical materials. As such, one way to draw out the qualities of digital materials might be with reference to attention, allowing us to understand how they're algorithmically attentive to us. Digital materials could also be considered through their formal material properties, like transparency, saturation, and blending. Their motion or temporality could also factor in here. Digital materials have uniquely emergent properties, such as generative forces of modulation, as well as degrees of malleability or customization. These are only speculative ideas, but they offer opportunities for investigation to better understand what qualities might exist in digital materials that make them different to physical materials beyond just tangibility. The growing awareness of the sociocultural effects of digital materials could be seen as a call to action to more rigorously appraise and locate the materiality of the digital. Digital and physical materials have fundamentally quite different qualities, which matter diffractively in an assemblage. Both physical and digital materials are connected to supply chains, labor practices, energy resources, and capitalist interests. Each have their own aesthetic and sensorial qualities, which can be documented and explored through practice research. In the face of pervasive, ubiquitous exile like the metaverse, it's important to conceive of the qualities of digital materials, in particular their affective and agental forces. More investigation into perceived qualities and characteristics of the digital would also help establish a greater sense of its materiality and provide ways to attend to specific aspects of this.